Hello and welcome to today's Bitrix24 live Q&A. We're Bitrix24 Gold Partners Interface, and I'm Sam Connor, part of the sales engineer team. So in today's session, we'll be able to cover all of your questions that you have on essentially any aspects of the Bitrix24 system. So from CRM to project management, HR, and any new features from the Bitrix24 system. Sales. With me today, I've got Andy Naylor, our head of customer success.
Hi guys, good to have you on. If you've got any questions throughout this particular live Q&A, please do put them in the box, either whether you're watching on LinkedIn or whether you've joined the Zoom webinar. More than happy to answer them as we go along. We've had some questions come through. I think Sam's going to lead off on that.
Yeah. So we've had a few questions come in already. So let's start off with a question around the CRM. So how do I turn on the notifications when a new lead comes into the system? So yeah, it's quite important when that lead comes in, we want to be notified about that new lead.
Okay. So just to make you aware, I've got a cloud system on the screen, and I've also got an on-premise system. So if you've got any questions on either, I can show you in either one of the two systems. So yeah, as Sam said, how do you turn on notifications when a new lead comes into the system? So I think the most simple solution is to add a new automation upon creation. So I'm in the lead section of the CRM at the minute. If we click on automation rules, then what we can do here, so when we create a new lead, generally it would always start at the first stage here on new lead. So if I just remove these temporarily, and then what we can do is we can click on create up in the top. We can choose the stage that we want the notification to appear on. So as I say, generally, when a new lead's created, we can click on the new lead, first stage. And then if I type in notification up at the top here, quickest way to access it, click on add notification. And what you'll see is that notification gets added. So based on that, what we can do is we say new lead has been received. And you can write whatever you'd want in there. If you want to bring in any of the information on here, so we can see inside the lead, if you want to bring any information from the lead itself, we can put that into the notification. And then, yeah, the most important part, I guess, is the recipient. So when the lead comes in, somebody is made responsible for it. Therefore, we can default that to the responsible person. If we wanted to change that, we could have a look at a particular person, so we can choose a user on the system, or we could look at maybe one of the roles. So you've got things like who the lead was created by, maybe you've got observers on the lead, you could notify them. So by default, it's the responsible person, and that's the most common. But yeah, you can change that should you wish to. Once you've done that, click on save. Click on save again. And then if I was just to add a new lead very quickly and click on save, what we'll see is we'll see a new notification pop up in the top right hand corner here. And then we should see, I'm not sure why it's not popped up, but you should see it pop up on there. So yeah, that's the quickest and easiest way to do it.
Perfect. Thanks, Andy. And then kind of following on from there, when a lead is then reassigned to a new responsible person, they want to be notified. And again, it's just in that automation, isn't it? We'd just be customizing the notification on the automation rule.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the good things with the automations is as well, if maybe a lead is assigned to a new responsible, you could actually use a trigger on that as well. So you could actually move a lead to a particular stage because you could look at that particular field that has been changed, and therefore you could move that to that particular stage as well. So that might be another option.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. So next question is, and we get quite a few questions like this. So we need a way to manage customer returns, and can this be done in Bitrix? And I guess that's quite a, using the new feature, the SPA feature, that's quite a nice way to be able to manage processes like this. So using returns inside the system. If we just go, I think we've got just above below activities there, Andy, I can see returns in the main menu. You can see a returns feature.
Where are we? Sorry.
Yeah, if you just scroll down under activities, there's the returns.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so we've got an SPA there, I think, for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the SPA tool is really good, isn't it? I guess to make these new modules, because the smart process automation allows you to essentially create a brand new module in the CRM, and it allows you to tailor not only the data that you select in here. So you could see we've got damaged pipes in this, yeah, and then we've got all of the key information about that particular return. But we can associate it to the, maybe it's a company, maybe it's a contact. So if we were to go to Sarah Smith in here, then you can see if we were to go to that contact in the CRM, we've also got any returns that Sarah might have raised before. Yeah. So it is a really good way of that visibility and that customizability in the smart process automation, because it's not just the data that you collect as well, it's the actual process that you would follow as well. So you can tailor your, essentially your pipeline of stages that you would progress a return through. And again, you can have automations on those as well. So should a return get raised, you fill out the form by clicking on create, signing it to a contact in your CRM. So you've got all the contact details. You can then call out from the system, and then you can email directly from the system return as well, can't you? So yeah, it's quite a good way of doing it. And yeah, this SPA, we're going to create some up and coming in the future. We're going to create some great use case videos on YouTube to just give you some ideas about how you can actually create these simple processes. So it's a good way of doing it. Yeah, there's just been a question that's just come in on LinkedIn. It says, how does the VoIP system work on Bitrix24 CRM? So Bitrix has its own, it's built in, if I just jump into the cloud, I think we've got a number on here, but it has its own telephony system. So if I just jump into the CRM, go to add-ons and click on telephony, then what we have on here is the ability to either rent a number from Bitrix. So you can click on rent a number in here. This is quite, this is the most straightforward and most simple solution. You can specify the country that you want your telephone number to be associated to. Based on the country that you select, so let's just say, for example, we select the UK. And then we can choose what type of number we want. So if it's a local number, that means that we can choose maybe a London number, for example, or a mobile, or a national, or a free phone number. So if I was to look in here and choose, let's say, for example, London, then it would cost us $6 a month. If I click on rent, we will be assigned a telephone number. And then based on that, we can then set up that telephone number with telephone user queues. So we can say, put a queue in place, who can answer that particular phone number. And then we can also specify in the telephony settings who can actually use that number to dial out on. So how the rent a number works is if somebody was to call up, if that number was recognized, then a pop-up would appear in the screen with that contact person's details on, with a direct link to that contact card in the CRM. And everything is then recorded if you want it to, and we have like a call details page here that we can see all of the different activity and including a link to the recording as well. And that's the same without going. So if I went into the CRM now, clicked on one of the leads or one of the contacts that has a telephone number, it's just a simple case of clicking. That would then dial the number, and again, it would allow me to speak with that customer directly. That telephone call would then be recorded in the entity that you call it from. So in this case, it's stored in the lead. So everything ties together really nicely, I think, with the Bitrix telephony. So that's the most straightforward and easiest option for you. Second option that you've got is the ability to connect a PBX. So maybe you've got an existing telephony provider that has either a cloud PBX or an office PBX. Based on that, you can then click on connect. You can then test your connection settings, and that does require a SIP connector. So the SIP connector from Bitrix is approximately, I think it's $50 a month. So you've got that cost just to be aware of, and then obviously any charges that your PBX provider also charges you. So that those are the costs involved in that. And then the third and final option is the built-in integrations. So we have a total here, you can see at the bottom if we scroll down, a total of 28 telephony applications. If I scroll down in here, you can see in here we have different. So if I just click in, I think we've got, let me just see. It's changed slightly since I last went in.
Yeah.
But you can see in here that we have dial-a-plug, we have SmartFlow, and so on and so forth. So if you've got a telephony application, it is worth checking in here first of all to see whether there is a pre-built integration application for you. I know there are quite a few in there. So yeah, and really those are your three options. There is a fourth, but it would have to be the on-premise, and it would be a custom API integration. And that can be quite development heavy, and it can obviously be quite expensive to do that. So we would generally recommend to look at the first three options. If your provider's not there and you want to stay with them, then the fourth option would be a custom development with the API. Okay.
Great. Thanks, Andy. Okay, next question that we've had coming in the week. Someone's asking for advice on the sites module. So we need to create a landing page for, so they've got a new company and they need to have a form to generate inquiries. Just asking if that's achievable with the sites module in Bitrix.
Yeah, so it's quite a common use case, really. The sites module inside Bitrix is really good to create your one-off landing pages, especially for like monthly marketing campaigns, things like that, because it allows you to really spin up a one-page site or a two-page, however big you want it, quite quickly and quite easily, because it's got a pretty good web builder tool inside it. With the question, it says, I want to use a form to generate inquiries. So you probably would have to set up your form first. So really, if we're in the CRM, again, if we go to the more option inside the CRM and go to CRM forms, then you would have to create your form here first. So for those of you that are new to creating web forms, they are quite straightforward. You can click on add up in here. And then when you click on add, you basically just need to decide what you want the form to create. So if I click on contact information in here, then at the minute you can see that we have the fields to essentially create a contact if we wanted to. So it might be that if I come out of here and click on add field, then we can pull the information from a lead. So it might be that I click on name, last name, and then any of the fields, including custom fields. So you might have things like Zoom, date, time, electricity, CD. You can see all of these are custom fields inside a lead. And there you can select the phone number, the email address, and obviously you can create and add any fields that you'd want to. And then once you've added those fields, obviously you can see the form is building on the right-hand side. You just need to determine what you want to create. So in our case, we want to create a brand new lead. So I click on CRM entities here. I click on lead. If I click on expert mode here, we can just decide if we want to allow duplicates. So if it picks up an email address maybe we've already got in the system, then and you wanted to create a new lead because you like repetitive leads, then it might be the case of allowing duplicates. If a lead already exists with the email that the user provides, then again, you can merge. It's completely up to you on that front. There are quite a lot of different options when you create a form. So you can have hidden fields in the default value. You can connect up Google Analytics to record your goals, and you can set your goals and see when people submit. You can redirect people to a thank you page maybe on your website, or just add a normal message to say thank you, and so on and so forth. And then finally, you can change the design however you'd want to. So you can color the button, remove the border, and so on and so forth. So if we were to say this and just call this a sites lead form, we'll call it, we're going to create, every time this form is submitted, this particular user is going to be responsible for the lead it creates. So once I come out of here, and then the second step after you've created that form would be to create your landing page. So if we go to the sites and stores option on the left-hand menu, you can create an e-commerce store if you wanted to in Bitrix. It has that ability to do that. But what we have is the sites module here in the top left-hand corner. So what I can do is I can click on create, and you have a wide range of different templates in here. So you can see if I scroll down, you've got a whole different range of templates that maybe are relative to your business. So you might be an architectural company, construction, bakery, delivery service. So you can see that they are really quite comprehensive in terms of what you want to include. So if I said a webinar announcement, just as an example, you can see in here, you can preview the site, and it's all pre-built, but obviously with dummy content in which we can change. But what I'll do is I'll create that site here, and then we can go into this site and we'll be able to edit it. Just make sure that we have enough time while this is loading. If not, what I can do, in fact, there we go. So if I open that now, you can see that's how quick it is to actually create a pre-built site. And it might be that we don't want particular blocks. In that case, we could just remove specific items. It might be that I don't like the header. So what we could do instead is we could click on add block. And then what we're looking for on this left-hand menu is the CRM form option. So if I click on that CRM form and just scroll down in here, this is one that we regularly use for marketing campaigns. So if I click on the plus icon here, and then what we have is a background image, we might want to just delete the top menu as well. Then if I click on edit, if I click on the design, I think it is in here, I can style it however I wish in there. And then if I click on edit, that's going to be the form itself. So I can change the form, and I can change the background image as well. It's quite straightforward and quite easy to do. And then again, I can click on here, maybe change some of the text on here, change the icons, change the text. And then once you're ready, you can then obviously launch the site however you wish. You can put it on your own domain name. You can put it on your, you can get a temporary URL for the site. If I click on here, again, we can configure some of the site features. So like I say, it is quite powerful. It's good if you spend a bit of time on this, because obviously once you spent time on one template, you can reuse it over and over again should you want to. So you can see that we have quite a few different landing pages on there that we can use. And you can obviously just change the text and change the form each time as well. So that's really just a walkthrough, a very quick walkthrough of creating a form and then creating a site.
Great, thanks, Andy. Yeah, as Andy's shown there, it's It's really simple and really quick to design those landing pages. So like Andy says, we get a lot of clients who use this to create marketing campaigns. So you could create a campaign in the marketing module and then link them to your ready-made landing pages and embed those forms. So it's a really useful tool within Bitrix.
We've just had another question that's come through, and I'm not 100% sure of the answer on this one, but is it possible to integrate Dropbox into Bitrix? So let me just double check with regards to the file options in here. So it is, in terms of, depends on what type of integration, I guess, that you're wanting. One of the good features in Bitrix, it has multiple file uploads, whether it's in a task, whether it's in an activity stream post, whether it's in a lead activity feed. You can click on Dropbox here, you can connect up your Dropbox account, and you can access the files within it to post directly into Bitrix. I don't believe there's a way of integrating it where you can access the files. For example, if I went to Bitrix24 Drive and then I could see everything inside Dropbox in here, I don't believe that's possible. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but I think that's right.
I don't think it can, no.
So yeah, that's the kind of integration that you've got, the ability to pull files from Dropbox into tasks, into posts, and so on and so forth.
Okay, and this question kind of leads on actually from there. So how do I share documents that I've already got stored in Bitrix with my clients?
So yeah, that's quite straightforward. I think, let me just see if we've got any files in here. I'll just see if I can upload a file into, so let's just have this PDF, click on here. So if I wanted to share this PDF with somebody outside of Bitrix, then essentially what I would do is go to the hamburger menu next to the document, and you can see here we've got Get Public Link. So with this, I can click on the little gear icon and set some criteria if I wanted to. So we would have this link that I can just copy. And then if we wanted it to expire after a certain period, we can set that expiration date. And if I wanted to actually set the password, again, I can make it password protected. So this would be your public link, and then they would be able to access that document using that link. And you can share that with whoever you wish.
That's quite a useful feature to have that in the CRM as well. When you're sending quotes and invoices, you can just send the link. So that's, it's a nice way to manage that.
Yeah, that's a slightly different one, isn't it, to a document, I guess? Because if you are creating in the sales area, if you are creating like a document, for example, then let's just go in here and generate a document. So if I was to generate a quote from this particular company, click on here, we actually have the way to send these documents to the customer, should we wish as well. So you can click on copy link and then obviously share that link with the customer themselves. So yeah, that's a different way to share a document if you've generated the document inside the CRM.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for that. Okay, next question we've had is, can I send one-off marketing emails to my customers from templates in CRM marketing? So yeah, it's a really good use case in the marketing module to send one-off marketing campaigns essentially.
Yeah, and it works really well. It's got for those of you that are not aware, that Bitrix has its own marketing module. And if we go into, for example, any one of the modules, well, it's leads, contacts, and companies. And what I would generally recommend to do it this way is to create your mailing list first of all. So if I went into contacts and I wanted to maybe create a filter because I want to send maybe an email to all of our general contacts, I can click on search. That would then give me a filtered list. Now, obviously, we don't have too much content in our demonstration site, but if I select that, what I can do is I can click on add to segment, and I can click on create new, click apply. That will then create my mailing list that I can send those emails to. And then if we go into the marketing module, in the left-hand menu, then I be able to find that segment I've just created. So you can see here, and I could rename that if I wanted to. So I could say, we could call this general contacts, click on save. And it breaks it down quite nicely with email and phone. I know this question was about sending a one-off email, but if you connect up your SMS provider, you could send an SMS campaign out as well. But if we go to campaigns, click on create campaign here. This would be the notion that I've got a template already created. Click on email template. I choose the template that I want. So let's just say January sale. We're a bit late with a Halloween one as well. But you can click on select segment, my segment, and then we can see we would have our general contacts mailing list. That would then provide me with the mailing list who I'm going to send this campaign out to. We could call it the April sale, for example. You can see we've only got 3 recipients in this segment, but that's fine. We can give it a subject, April sale. We can specify the sender, and this is really important if you're on a cloud, because what you can do now is on a cloud, you can add your own SMTP server. So rather than being limited by maybe having a shared Bitrix SMTP sending out, you can have your own unique SMTP server which sends the emails out, which will likely be better because it will be yours. It will be obviously only used for your campaigns. It will be your domain name. So adding this does give you that extra level of authority, really. So your emails are less likely to go into junk mail. So that's one option that we would always try and recommend you to do. So you can use that information and put that in there. And then obviously you can say who the sender is. Once you've done that, you can see in here that we can tweak the template should we wish. We can send out a test. And then when you're ready to send it to that segment, we can click on save, and you can have 3 options. So we've got a consent here. You can have a require consent option as well if you wanted to. But if we click on save, you generally have 3 options of how you want to send this. You can send it later manually, like I've got selected. You can send it straight away, or you can schedule it for a specific time and specific date, which is quite good if you're pre-planning your marketing campaigns to be sent out of Bitrix. So if I select later manually, click on save, that will then appear in here, and you can see that it's now ready for me to hit the send now button and send out that particular campaign.
Okay. Question that came in on LinkedIn associated to that. I send newsletters to my customers to launch each month via MailChimp, but is that possible to send to launch emails in Bitrix? Not too sure. If you could just provide some more detail about what you mean by to launch emails.
I mean, yeah, potentially if you're meaning that, can you send it to a mailing list that you've got into MailChimp? Maybe that's what you mean. I mean, the only way that you would be able to do it is export your mailing list outside of MailChimp, go into segments, maybe create your segment. And then what you could do is you could import that mailing list into here. That might be an option of what you're meaning. If you're meaning that you've got templates in MailChimp, you can't import mail templates into Bitrix from MailChimp. You would be expected to go into the template section, click on create template, and then design and the template that you're wanting to. So, but yeah, as Sam said, if you've got a little bit of feedback on that, just let us know in the box, and we can come back to that point.
Great. Okay. And just another one kind of associated to emails, but not quite marketing campaigns. So how do I get my email signature on my emails? So I assume this is regarding when we send emails out from the CRM. Essentially, how do we get that signature on there?
Yeah, so I mean, if you are connecting up your emails via the webmail link in the left-hand menu, then possibly what you can do is, if you go into webmail, I don't think I've got the mail connected up into this one, but I might in this. Yeah. So yeah, so if we've got an email connected into here, Once you've connected up your email, if you go into the top right-hand corner, we can click on Edit Signature, and then we can add our own signature in here. So we click on Add. You can obviously write whatever it is that you'd want to. You can add HTML, you can embed your images in here, add text, web links, just like a normal signature. And then you can basically connect it to one of the emails that you have connected up. So you can have multiple emails, and you can actually do it for your users should you want to. And then once you've added that, it essentially automatically applies it when you go into the CRM, and then you send out that particular email. It just adds it onto the bottom, and you can see it at the point of when you're sending it out. So if I went into this one just as an example, clicked on email, you can see there nicely our support team signature is pre-populated using that method what we've just shown you. So you can see it works really well.
Perfect. Yeah, that looks really good on there. And another question within the CRM is, how do we change the currency in the CRM? It's a very common question.
Yeah, obviously Bitrix handles most currencies. So if we go into the CRM settings and then into the start point, so you would have to have administration rights to access this page, just to make you aware. You're on the start point, you can click on currency here, and therefore you can see here we've got the pound, the US dollar, and the euro. One of the most important parts of this is determining which is your base currency. So if we wanted the pound to be the base currency, we can click on here. And then if you want it to have reporting currency and the default invoicing currency, you would just have to click on Edit, and you can specify those 2 points there. And that's really important, because if you have different exchange rates on the dollar, on the euro, you can specify those different rates in comparison to what the base rate is. So that's how that works. And you can add currencies. I think you can even import currencies as well, can't you? So yeah, there are many currencies that you can add, and obviously Bitrix does come with, I think, 4. You can come in here and remove them if you're not going to use them as well.
Great. Okay. Just had another question on LinkedIn. Is it possible to do email A/B test in Bitrix so you can find which test has worked most suitably? But I believe we can't do A/B testing, can we?
No, we've looked at this previously for another customer. Yeah, you can't do the A/B testing to determine which one performs better than the other. What you would have to do is you would have to send out the campaign, and then once you've sent out that particular campaign, you do have the ability to obviously see the reports on where people have clicked and what people have done. So you would have to compare one campaign to the other, but that would be the only way to do it. So
okay,
yeah.
Great. Okay, last few questions that we've got currently. If there's any other questions, please do add them into LinkedIn and we can go through those for you. The question here, Andy, regarding projects. So how can I track time spent on projects, which is a common use case really for clients who use projects?
Yeah, so in the tasks themselves, there is the ability to have a time tracker. So I'll just show you, if I was to create a task and click on more here, then you can have this time tracking enabled. So if I wanted to call this time tracking, we can specify let's just say we've quoted the client 8 hours. So that's what we're going to add it to, and I'll add it to Bitrix project. Then because I've checked that box, what happens, let me just click on the view at the top. What happens is this time tracker button is enabled. If I didn't check that box when I created the task, it would just say start here, and it would not have the tracking of the time. So when I click on start now, what you will see in here, there we go. So what we'll see is this counter starting to track the time. And then what I can do from that is I can then pause it. And then if I just might just do this because we've just had some developments on ours. I'll just do it in here. Just bear with me one moment. So if I go into this particular task, click on start, what you'll see here is the time tracker starting to add up the time. And then when I pause it, what that will then do is if I go out of it and go back into it, should be able to see, I think I might just have to refresh that. You can see the entry that's been added. So obviously 8 seconds is very short, but if you start the task, spend 3 hours on it, let's say, that 3 hours will be allotted here. You can then write a note and said, worked on research, so you can see what it's about. And then the alternate way, if you didn't want the time tracker, because I can understand why people wouldn't want to start. Sometimes people forget, obviously, to stop the task. That's quite common. So instead of pressing the start and stop, what we do at Interface is we actually log our time manually after the task or at the end of the day. So here we could say we've done 3 hours on research here, and then that would add it. The only difference is that you can Bitrix identifies which one has been manually added in comparison to which one has been tracked, because the tracker you can only have on one task at a time. So if I went to another task, tried to start the time tracker whilst this one was running, it would say the task EEE is currently in progress. Then it would switch back to, it would say, if you want to stop that one and start this one, and you can do that. So once you've done that, you can then build out your own task reports. So in here, we have in the more section, the reports. Bitrix has some reports already pre-built in the standard reports section. So you can see here employee resource tracking and so on and so forth. And you can check the time spent on, so you can build your own to check the time spent on each particular project, just building out the criteria that you need to record. So that's the best way of doing it.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that, Andy. And then the last question we've got right now then is there a way to turn off leads, as we only use deals for our opportunities in the CRM?
Yeah, so in the CRM, there are 2 modes, essentially. Because like you say, not everybody uses leads. They start with maybe pre-qualified opportunities. So they start in the deal side of things. So what you can do is if you go into leads and it's enabled, you can click on the little gear icon here. You can click on mode, CRM mode, and you can see here we have the option to switch to simple CRM, which is deals, contacts, and companies. I know it doesn't say companies there, but companies are there. And it just takes and disables the leads module. So yeah, you can just disable it quite easily and quite quickly from that point. And you can always enable it back if you decide to, that you need leads at a later point. So yeah, that's the best way of doing that.
Okay, great. I think that's the end of today's questions. So thank you everyone for providing you with our questions. And if there are any questions before our next live Q&A, please do contact us, sales@interface.com. One of our team will be happy to arrange a call with you to discuss your questions and needs in more detail. And please do check out our YouTube channel, as we are uploading new videos all the time with quick wins and demonstrations that you may find useful for your Bitrix24 system. Okay, thank you all very much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you guys for all your questions, and yeah, look forward to seeing you on the next live Q&A.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye for now. Bye.